Okay, fine. So let us do a quick recap because it's been a long time since we have been to classes. So I just want to give a quick recap. So we have started Java 8 futures, and so far we have completed what is a lambda expression. Very, very important for the interview room. So we know what is a lambda expression, and we also understood about how to write a lambda expression. We know how to write a lambda expression. So when you talk about lambda expression, you need to understand about this arrow token, right? So you keep statements and you keep parameters separately, and they, the parameters and the statements, they get divided between this arrow token. So this is the complete syntax of the lambda expression, and we know how to write a lambda expression. And we have understood about what is function interfaces, right? In my previous classes. If you want to answer about this function interface, just remember this acronym SAM. SAM is an acronym for what? Single abstract method, right? And these are the functional interfaces that is already there till Java 1.7. And what is the purpose? To invoke lambda expression, we use functional interface to achieve backward compatibility. And we have understood about this function interface annotation. And we have also understood how to invoke lambda expression using function interfaces. And we understood about the default method and the static method so far, right? And after this, we have started our first predefined interfaces in JDK 1.8. Okay, there are four predefined interfaces. One is predicate, function, consumer, and the supplier. We know what is predicate, and we add some discussion on top of the predicate interface. And we have seen so many problems on top of predicate interface, and we have understood about the predicate joining, and we have also understood about the function interface. Okay? Today we have to understand about something like the consumer interface. Right? What does the consumer interface do? How it will be helpful for us to build a logic on top of consumer interface. Right? So it's very easy to understand. Consumer interface. We will use this consumer interface in the stream APIs in the future topic. I will keep the topic very, very simple. Try to stay focused. I will also give you some real-time examples. Okay, this is going to be very, very easy, as well as this is going to be very, very important for the interview room. Right? So everywhere in the future topics, you see a lot of what we call it as the usage about the consumer interface. Okay, shall we get it started? Type yes, no, something in the chat box, so that I think that we are good to go. Okay then. So now consumer interface. Okay, so before understanding about the consumer interface, so we know the purpose of the predicate interface and the function interface, right? So what does this predicate interface do? So we almost discussed about two interfaces already, right? The first interface is predicate interface. So when you talk about the predicate interface, this predicate interface is going to accept only one parameter of t type. T is the input type. So what does it mean? The predicate can accept any input. It can accept what? It can accept any data type. Any data type. The input can be of any data type, right? But the output is what? The output is always Boolean. Whatever the data type, the input can be of any data type. It can be string type, it can be object type, it can be any class type. Okay, there are no restrictions for the input. But when it comes to output, the output will always be what? It is always going to return the Boolean type, either true or false. Right? So this is how the predicate is designed. So I can say that predicate is an interface which is going to accept an input of t type, which means it can be of any data type, and you can write a processing logic. You can write a processing logic in such a way. Okay, the processing logic could be written in such a way that the output is always going to be what? The Boolean type. So this is how the predicate is designed. Right? We have discussed these things already. And when you want to talk about the function interface, the function interface is completely different from it is almost similar to the predicate interface, but there is only one difference. Okay, it is going to accept two arguments. Okay, argument one. What is the argument one of t type? So this t type is the input type. Input type can be anything. Input type can be any data type. right? For the function interface, the input can be any data type. So I can write that here, any data type, right? But the output is also what you can design the processing logic in such a way that it is giving the output of any type. It is not necessary that it should return boolean type. It output is output could also be of any data type. So this is all about what? This is all about the function interface, any data type. And we usually write the processing logic in such a way that it is accepting input of any type and it is giving the output of any data type. So processing logic is in our hands. You can write the processing logic in such a way that the input can be of any data type which is of T type. T is representing input type, R is representing what? The return type or the output type. Any data type. So this is the only difference. Everything is same. Right? So here it is boolean. It is always boolean. Predicate is always, the return type is always boolean. But over here for the function, the return type is always what? It could be any data type. Right? And we have now the discussion is going on only for what? The consumer interface. This is the new topic that we have just started to discuss, right? So consumer interface. So consumer interface says it is going to consume the input. It is going to do what? It is going to consume the input, right? But it is not going to return any output. There is no concept of return type for the consumer. Okay, so there is a block. It is not going to return any kind of output. It will consume the input, but there is nothing that it could return. It can consume any type of input. Again, for the consumer as an interface, it is designed in such a way that it will accept the input type. Input type can be of any data type, right? But there is no concept of return type. Okay, it will not return any output. It will just consume the input and all the information. The processing logic is always designed in such a way that it will not return any output. All the data will be consumed, and if you want to print something in the console, you can just print by using system.out.println statement. You can just print, but it will not return any kind of output. The name itself says what? Consumer is what? It is going to consume the information, but it will not return anything. Instead, if you want to do something, if you want to write a meaningful logic, you can print the information in the console, but there is no concept. There is no return type concept. I can just block this, isn't it? It's not even necessary, right? There is no concept of return type, so I can just close this. Not required. No return type concept. Are you getting this? What I'm trying to say? So we will understand all these things in the real-time example. So just the major differentiation is predicate is always going to return the boolean type, and the function, it can accept any input type and it can return any output, any data type as the output. But the consumer, it will consume the input. The input can be anything, but it will not return anything. There is no concept of output here, right? And when you look at this, the theory, consumer, it is a functional interface. Consumer is what? Consumer is a functional interface that was introduced in JDK 1.8 version, and it is also available in java.util package. Same thing, guys. Same thing which we have discussed in function. Okay, I'm just trying to do what? I'm just trying to remove some information, and I'm writing the information that is applicable for the consumer interface. Right? So it has one abstract method which is accept method. And this is how the prototype of the consumer looks like. It consumes, okay, of T type, and there is no concept of return type. That's why the return type is always what? Void. Okay, it is used extensively in the functional programming and the stream APIs. You will use lot of consumer interface in the stream APIs. Right? So let us understand one program on top of consumer interface. Let me write a small piece of code on top of consumer interface. Right? So consumer. Right, so consumer, okay, it is going to accept input. I am taking the input as the string type, and I want to display a welcome message. I want to display what? I want to display a welcome message. Right, so whatever the string that you are passing, okay, that string will has to get displayed in the console. My simple statement is I will pass a string. I will just pass a string. Can be any string. I just want to display the string which I am consuming. Okay, this is the lambda expression by using the consumer interface. Simple lambda expression. Okay, I have used the consumer interface, which is accepting a data type of string, right? And I want to display that in the console, right? So how I can how I can invoke this logic? Use this welcome message. Dot, there is a method called accept method. Accept method is a default method in the consumer interface. You can pass any string here. If I am passing Ratna, okay, this will be displayed in the console Ratna. If I want to keep this logic very meaningful, I can do something like this, guys. Okay, I can use the scanner class. I can say like enter your name, please. Okay, I am asking the end user, please enter your name. Okay, end user is going to enter something in the console. So I want to catch that information that is entered by the end user. So to catch that information, I'm using the scanner. Scanner is what? Scanner is going to do what? It's going to scan the information from the end user. It's going to accept the input. Okay. After by using the scanner class, I want to store that input by using the name variable. So I'm using this next method. Okay. Now I want to do what? I want to do something, right? I just want to pass this name here, right? So welcome message. I want to display a welcome message like welcome. Okay. So this is the logic. I am accepting a string and I want to display some welcome message. So let me run this code. We will get some idea. Okay, I am asking the end user. Hey, end user, can you please enter your name, please? Okay, let the end user may enter something like Jyoti. So the message is like welcome Jyoti. Again, if hey, enter your name, please. End user may enter something like Venkatesh. Welcome Venkatesh. Right? So it consumes information and that information is getting displayed in the console. Very simple. This is what the consumer does. This simple logic will develop a little complicated logic going forward. This is just a simple logic. Accept the input and display it in the console. Consume that input and display it in the console. How you can imagine this through the behind the scenes? How this could be imagined better? Okay, how can we imagine this much better? What is happening behind the scenes actually? So let me import that diagram. Okay, this is the actual diagram, right? The consumer is not going to give any kind of output. So there is no concept of output here. So I'm closing this output. Okay, and you are passing a input. You are passing a input like Ratna. Right? When you pass input like Ratna, what is the logic that you have designed here? In the code, if you look at the logic, so this is the actual logic. Isn't it? So what is the processing logic here? So this is the processing logic for the consumer. Very simple processing logic we have. Right? So this Ratna goes inside as the input because you are using the accept method. You are using the default method here. You are using the welcome accept method. Accept method is accepting an input. This input will get into the processing logic to process the respective logic, right? So Ratna will go as Ratna Ratna is a string, it will go as an input, right? And S is going to accept Ratna, and you are using the simple system.out.println statement, and you have hard-coded the welcome message in such a way that welcome is getting concatenated with yes. Yes is what? Ratna. So the output is going to be what? Well, the welcome Ratna. Welcome Ratna is going to get displayed in the console. Okay, it is not returning it, it is just displaying it because you are using system.out.println statement. Right? Likewise, next time if you pass any other string information, something like Jyoti, Jyoti will go as an input, string type input, and the processing logic will ensure that Jyoti is getting concatenated with the welcome message. Welcome Jyoti. Likewise, you can pass any number of string and extensively you will get those results. This is how the consumer works. This is going to just consume the information. No matter what, it is not going to print what we call it as, it is not going to return anything. Right? Let us write a meaningful example. Okay, meaningful example is something like a movie information. I want to, my actual requirement is I want to print the movie information. There is a movie. I just want to print the movie. Let us say that Bahubali is the movie. Okay, so you can have a lot of data within the Bahubali. What kind of data? Usually, when you talk about the movie, usually we talk about the hero, right? Followed by you talk about what? You talk about the heroine. Followed by you talk about the name of the movie. So these three properties are very important properties, right? What I want to do is I want to just display the movie information just by using the consumer concept. By using the consumer concept, I want to just display the movie information. So what is the first step I can do? The first step is I want to create movie objects. I want to create what? I want to create movie object. Second step is I want to create a consumer which accepts movie object as an input. So these are the two things that I can do, right? First, I want to create movie object. How I can create movie object? I want to create the class first. Okay, my class should have how many properties? My class should have three properties: hero property, heroine property, and the name property. Right? After creating these three properties, I can use a constructor to build movie objects. I can use what? I can use constructor to build what objects? To build movie objects. I can create any number of movie objects here. Right? So let us do this practically. Okay, what I want to do? I want to print the movie information, so that I want to create a movie class. My movie class is going to have three properties. One is string name of the movie property. Second one is string hero, name of the hero. This hero is representing the name of the hero, and we also have something like heroine. Right? So these are the instance variables. If I want to initialize values to this instance variables, I want to have the constructor. Yes or no? Right? Don't you think that I need a constructor to initialize this instance variable? So I am just generating the constructor using this editor. Generate using fields. Right. So I have three properties: name property, hero property, and the heroine property. I have generated the constructor to initialize the values to this instance variables. Okay, my movie class has been created successfully. Right? So here I want to create three movie objects to pass the data. Movie m1 equal to new movie. Okay, movie name is I want to take the name of the movie as Bahubali. Right? And who is the hero? Hero is Prabhas. And you have the heroine as Anushka. Okay, one movie object is created, and I want to create another movie object. Okay, the second movie object is let us take Titanic. So the name of the hero is Leonardo DiCaprio. So instead of that, let me take the name as the movie name char, and the heroine name. Okay, and the name of the third movie. I'm creating three movie objects. Okay, movie, new movie. So this is just the data that I am assigning to this movie objects. Okay, I have created three movie objects, and each and every movie object has three pieces of information. One is the name of the movie, hero name, heroine name. Right? And third movie, let me take the name of the third movie as Interstellar. Okay, let me take first. Okay, the hero name is what? Pawan Kalyan. I watch only few movies, guys. I don't watch much movies. I watch only very few selected movies. Heroine name is Shruti. Okay, three movie objects are created: M1, M2, M3. Okay, so this I want to store these movie objects in an array list. I want to store this movie object where? In the array list. In the array list, what I want to store? Movie object. So the generic type is movie itself. Okay, and the name of the array list is, let me take it as AL equal to new array list. Right. So I want to add these three movie objects which I have just created. Okay, add al dot add m3 I mean M1, M2, M3. M2, M3. So three movie objects are added in that list. Okay, what I have just done, created three movie objects. First I created a class, then created three movie objects, and these three movie objects are added inside an array list. Collection concept. Okay, I want to do what? I want to use a consumer to just print the movie information. I don't want to do anything. This consumer is going to accept the input type as the movie itself. Okay, info. The reference variable is info. Okay, the movie information. I want to collect that movie object M in the form of M. I want to collect the movie object M. I'm using the arrow token. My processing logic is here. A processing logic. Okay, so this is the parameter arrow token followed by the business logic, processing logic. This processing logic is what will ensure that movie name plus m dot movie name. So movie is going as an object. I am extracting what? I am just extracting what? Name of the movie. By using that movie object, I am extracting name of the movie. Okay, and by using that movie object, I am also extracting name of the hero. Okay, I am using the movie object by extracting name of the heroine. Okay, this is my simple consumer. Okay, I have designed the consumer. Right now, what I want to do, I want to use an enhancer for loop. Okay, this for loop is going to accept the movie object, and the all the movie objects will get iterated. Firstly, M1 will be passed, M2 will be passed, M3 will be passed, and where I am passing this, I am going to use the default method of the consumer, info dot the accept method. This accept method will accept the movie object. Okay, if I run this piece of code, what usually happens is all the information is getting printed. Okay, let me print a blank space here, or else I don't want to touch this business logic. I want to print, okay, let me print the blank space or something like a star. Okay, what is exactly happening? Movie name Prabhas, movie hero name Prabhas, movie name Bahubali, Prabhas, Anushka, Titanic, Joe Class, Gabbar Singh, Pawan Kalyan, Shruti Hassan. Okay, you are storing some data. Okay, and you are using a consumer to consume the movie object. Movie object is consumed in the form of M. What you are trying to do, you are just printing the information in the console. By using this M, right, you are extracting the name, you are extracting the hero, you are extracting the heroine. So this is getting printed in the console just like this. Okay, consuming the information and just displaying in the console. This is the function of this is the functionality of what the consumer are able to. I hope you are able to follow this. Okay, what has just happened behind the scenes? What is the actual processing logic that we have here? Okay. Let me use this space. Okay, first time I will repeat. Going forward, I will not try to build this. I mean, we don't do this very often. Okay. Yes. So this is the diagram that we need for the visualization, right? So we are talking about the consumer. So consumer, always remember, this is not required. It is not going to return anything in the anything as the return type. Okay, this is closed. It will always accept some input. Okay, so for what we have created, let us analyze this code once again. I have created three movie objects, M1, M2, and M3, isn't it? Right? So three movie objects, isn't it? So three movie objects are created. This is one movie object, and this is another movie object, and this is another movie object. Three movie objects are created. What are the information that we have in each and every movie object? Okay, movie name we have Bahubali, right? And the hero name we have Prabhas, and the heroine name we have Anushka, right? Likewise, we have the movie name, second object, Titanic, Rose, Jack and Rose, right? Jack, Rose. The third movie information is what? Gabbar Singh, Pawan Kalyan, and Shruti Hassan. These are the movie information that we, three movie objects are created. What are the names of these objects? We have M1, M2, M3. Right? So all these movie objects are stored in where? Stored inside the array list. Okay. So there is an array list. I have just created that array list. So we have just stored all this what? All this movie information, isn't it? Right? The first movie object is stored inside the array list. Second movie object is stored inside the array list. Right? And the third movie object is stored inside the array list. Right? Done. So array list is usually of size what? This is array list. So 10. Default size of array list is 10, isn't it? So the name of the array list is what? AL. Okay. So after doing all this, right, and we are doing something here, okay. So we have written a consumer logic. So this is the processing logic for the consumer. So this is the lambda expression for the consumer. So I can also call it as what? The processing logic. So this is how the processing logic is like. Very big processing logic. Okay, let me cut short this. Okay, here we have the processing logic for the consumer. Okay, so let it be like this, right? And after this, what we are doing here, you are running an enhanced for loop, right? This for loop is accepting every movie object, and by using the accept method, you are invoking the what? You are invoking this consumer, right? So the enhanced for loop will consume each and every movie object, right? The first movie object. This is the first movie object, isn't it? Bahubali, Prabhas, and Anushka. Okay, this will go as an input, right? And the movie name will be extracted, hero name will be extracted, heroine name will be extracted from this object and displayed in the console. Done. Secondly, this Titanic, this object will go inside. Name Jack, and name movie name, hero name, heroine name will be extracted and displayed in the console. Third object will be what? This object. Each and every movie object will go, and all the information will be extracted and displayed in the console. This is what happening behind this. Just consuming the information. This is the second example where you can understand better about the consumer, right? So I want to increase the complexity. So they increase the complexity to understand much better about the consumer. Okay. So the third requirement, actually my requirement this time is I want to write a consumer. I want to create a student object. Okay. What object I want to create? A student. When I say student is going to have what? The two important information. Even when you go to your relative's house, usually what they will ask, they don't even worry about your life. They always ask you about the grades. So name is important for relatives. For relatives, name is also not important. Grades are important. For them, grades are very important. Even our parents don't worry about our grades. Our relatives always worry about our grades. Right? So they want this content. So I want to create a student object which is going to accept two pieces of information, name information and the grades information. Or I can say that marks. Let us of grades, let's talk about marks. Okay. And I want to do what? I want to combine the predicate function and the consumer. Okay, my predicate is going to decide if the student has scored greater than or equal to 60. I want to build a predicate logic where it is going to decide whether the student has secured score greater than 60. I also want to build a function. Where this function is going to do what? It is going to evaluate the grade. Evaluate what grade that the student has secured. Grade evaluation. Okay. I also want a consumer to just print the information in the console, to display the information in the console. I want to do these three things together. Firstly, I want to ensure that the students are secured greater than 60. After this confirmation, I want to write a function to evaluate the grade. Thirdly, I want to display those information. I want to combine this predicate function and the consumer. right? So predicate function consumer, how we can effectively write a code by combining all these three functional interfaces, predefined functional interfaces. Okay, let's start focusing here. What object I want to create? I want to create student objects, right? So firstly, I want to create a student class. So if I want to create student object, I want a class, right? That class should be what type? Student type. Let me remove all this. Okay, class, student class. Okay, this student class is going to have what? How many pieces of information I want to take? I want to take name information. I also want to take the marks information. That's it. Two information that is enough for me to understand this code. Let me create a constructor to initialize the instance variables. Right. So after creating the class, I want to create student objects. I just want to create 5 student objects. Student s1 equal to new student. The first object is Ratna. Okay, let me take some names. Ramesh. Ramesh has secured 90 marks, right? And 5 more objects. So Ramesh, Suresh. Suresh has secured something like 70. Vignesh. Vignesh has secured something like 55. Ramesh has, Vignesh. Yakesh has secured something like 35. And we have Mukesh. Mukesh has secured something like 30. So we have 5 student objects, which has been this object has been created from the student class. Okay. So this is the data that we have, right? I want to do what? I want to evaluate the grade, and I want to filter the score students who has secured the score greater than or equal to 60. Okay, let me take 60 here. And I want to evaluate the grade. Thirdly, I want to display the information in the console. Okay. First, I want to store all this information, all this object by using an array list. Let me take an array list. This array list is going to accept only the student objects, right? And name of the array list is, let me keep it as s itself. Okay. So s dot, let me add all the objects that I have just created. How many objects I have created so far? 5 objects. Let me add all these 5 objects. S1 we have S2 we have S3, we have S4, we have S5. So all the objects are added in the array list. Okay. After this, I want to create a predicate. I want to define all the 3 interfaces that I have just explained. Okay, predicate. Predicate is going to accept what object? Student object. My predicate will decide if the student has secured. Okay, my predicate is going to filter the students who has secured the score greater than or equal to 60. Right? So it will accept what? It will accept a student object. Okay, let me take the student object something like yes. Okay, and it will check if the student has secured score. Student has secured score greater than, if the student score is greater than or equal to 60. Okay, so S is already used somewhere here. Okay, let me use as S1. So S1 is also used, right? Or instead of, let me take A, you can take any variable name. So student has secured, it is going to check if the student is secured the score greater than or equal to 60. My predicate is done. Okay, I want to evaluate grade. To evaluate grade, I want to write a function. Okay, this function will accept student object as an input and it will return the grade in the form of string. So student object is accepted as input and the string is returned as the output. Yeah, right. So it is going to accept what object? Student object. I am taking the student object as reference variable as b, right? And I am writing a logic something like this. Let me import the first function first. Okay, my student logic is like, I want to extract the marks of the student first. Okay, I want to extract what? I want to extract the marks, student marks. After extracting marks, I am performing some conditional check to display the grades. To return the grades, not display, to return the grades. Okay, if the marks or greater than or equal to 80. I mean, let us greater than or equal to 80. Okay, return A grade, right? The marks are greater than or equal to 80, return A grade. Else if marks are greater than or equal to 60, okay, return B grade. Else if marks are greater than or equal to 50, return C grade. Else if marks are greater than or equal to 35, return D grade. Last, if not, if all the condition is getting failed, there is the default condition which is going to return. Right? So this is the function interface, which is what? Which is accepting the student objects as service code, and this interface is designed to calculate the grade of the student. Okay, and my third interface is what? My third interface is what? The consumer interface. This consumer interface, again, this consumer interface is going to accept what? It is going to accept the student object. Okay. The purpose of this consumer interface is just to display the information in the console. Right? So let me take it D. Okay, and a simple lambda expression. Okay, what information is going to display? Okay, let me import the consumer first. Okay, the consumer has been imported successfully. Right? System.out.println statement. Name of the student. Name. Okay, name is D dot name. And marks of the student. Marks. D dot. I want to display. I also want to display the grade of the student. Okay, to display the grade, we have already written a function here. To display the grade, there is a function already. So I'm using the same thing, right? Grade. Okay, D dot apply. I'm sorry. So what is it? F dot apply. F dot apply. Okay, so this is going to accept the student object itself. Okay, this consumer is going to display three information. One is name, marks, and display the grade. To display the grade, we have already written a logic for the function. Okay, this will calculate the grade and it will display in the console. So we have designed the predicate which is going to filter the students who have secured the marks greater than or equal to 60. And function is there to to calculate the grades, and consumer is there to display the information. Right? So my requirement is what? My actual requirement is I want to display the student marks who has scored more than 60, as well as the grade, as well as the information. I want to display these three pieces of information. Right? So how I can finally run the for loop, enhanced for loop. I'm running the enhanced for loop here. Okay, student, it will accept student object in the which are inside the array list. Yes. Okay, firstly I need to filter the students who are secured more than 60. For that I am using a test condition. Okay, I am using the predicate p dot test. I am crossing the student. Okay, this will ensure that students who have secured the score greater than 60, they are getting filtered here, and that information is getting displayed. To display that information, I am using the consumer c dot accept method. That's it. Run this piece of code. I am just fulfilling the requirement. Name Ramesh, marks 90. And if you see, these are the student information who was scored who was secured greater than or equal to 60 marks, and only their information are getting displayed on the console along with the grade. If you just repeat this logic, just try to understand this control flow line by line, these things will become very clear. I have just combined these three topics, predicate, function, as well as the consumer. Right? It's a very, very easy thing. I will give this in the Teams. Okay, you can practice this once. Okay, and we have the last topic. We have the last topic for the day, concept for the day, the consumer chaining. What is it? Consumer chaining. Okay, this consumer chaining is used to create a complex consumer. Okay, to create a complex consumer, one has to go for what? Consumer chaining. Okay, there is a default method inside the consumer. Okay, we have a default method inside the consumer. I mean, default method is there. We have a kind of a default method inside the consumer. So sorry, we are so far we are discussing operational. The default method is there inside the consumer, which is called what? And then method. And then method. We have discussed about this method already in the function interface, and the same and then method is also applicable for the consumer interface as well. If you have three consumers, you can change that consumer together. If I have a consumer C1, you can change that change the each and every individual consumer by using the and then method to create a complex consumer. C1 and then C2 dot and then C3 dot, and you can use the accept method. Okay, to perform the consumer chaining. So my requirement to understand this example, my requirement is I'm going to take a movie object. Okay, I am going to take a movie object. Firstly, my C1 consumer, the individual C1 consumer is going to give the notification, and my individual C2 consumer, I'm doing the consumer chaining by using the and then default method, and this is going to display the result of the movie, and my third consumer is going to store the information in the database. So these three operations I want to perform by using a complex consumer called consumer chaining. Data store in the database. Store in the database. And so let us understand this better by in the program. What I want to do, I want to create a movie object. Very simple example I will give to understand this. Okay. What is it? Movie object. Movie object. Okay. I am going to take two names. Name of the movie and string the result of the movie. The two information I want to store: name of the movie and the result of the movie. Right? And after this, I want to do what? I want to generate the constructor to store the information. Okay, constructor is generated. So I'm creating a simple movie object. Movie object M1 equal to new movie. So Bahubali. Okay, blockbuster. Movie result is blockbuster, right? Movie object has been created. Very simple movie object I have created. So what I want to do, I want to create the consumer chain. We want to understand about the consumer chain. My consumer is going to accept the movie object. This is my first consumer C1. If my first consumer C1 will accept a movie object, and is going to do what? It's going to give the notification information. Movie name. I'm extracting the movie name information, and I'm displaying something like ready to release. A notification. My first consumer is talking about what? Okay, there is a logic inside the first consumer which is just going to give the notification to the end user or to the movie lovers. Is going to give the notification information. Okay, I want to create another consumer which is also going to accept the movie object, right? and my second consumer is going to give the verdict of the movie, hit or flop, right? Result. Movie is m dot result, verdict of the movie. Okay, I want to create the third consumer. My third consumer is going to do what? Store information in the database. So three consumers I have created, individual consumers. Okay, movie is stored in the. So three consumers, three independent consumers are there. Now I want to use the consumer chaining to create a complex consumer. To do what? To create a complex consumer C4. Right? So I want to do the consumer chaining C1 dot and then C2. I'm chaining all these individual consumers together by using a complex consumer. So by using the andThen default method, I am performing the consumer chaining. This is called as consumer chaining. So three independent consumers are there. C1 is meant to display the notification. C2 is meant to display the movie verdict. C3 is meant to store the information in the database. Right? I am just performing the chaining. I am by using andThen method. C1 and then C2 and then C3. So this andThen is a default method in the consumer, and I am just creating a complex consumer by using the consumer chaining. And I am using the reference variable C4. I'm by using the C4, I am just calling what? The accept method, which is going to accept the movie object M1. M1 is something here. If I run this piece of code, right? Movie Bahubali ready to release. Movie Bahubali is blockbuster. Movie Bahubali is stored in the database. What is actually happening here? Okay, the movie object is going here. Okay, first this is getting invoked. Okay, first C1 is getting invoked. So this is getting invoked, and this information is getting printed. Secondly, and then I'm chaining. After C1, C2 is getting invoked. This information is getting printed. After C2, C3 is getting invoked. Okay, I'm chaining all these together to create a one single complex consumer, right? And how this chaining is getting happened by using the andThen default method. There is one default method is called andThen default method. I'm just using this to perform the consumer chain. Right? So this is all about the consumer. Okay, so there is an abstract method called accept method, and there is a default method called method called andThen method to perform consumer chain. Okay, so this is all about the consumer. So if you want to understand this piece of code, if you want to visualize this piece of code, very simple. Okay, one movie object is created. You are utilizing that one movie object here. Okay, let me illustrate this, demonstrate this in the paint brush. This is the code. Okay, so I have created a movie object. This movie object has how many information we have inside this movie object. Name of the movie is what? Bahubali, and we also have what? The verdict of the movie, blockbuster. Right? And I have created three different consumers, three independent consumers. The first independent consumer, second independent consumer, and we have the third independent consumer. What these consumers are doing? Okay, there is a logic, processing logic is there, and I have created a complex consumer by using consumer chaining. Okay, first what is happening? So this is the consumer object. This is the movie object, isn't it? Okay. So the C1 is getting invoked. Okay, C1 is getting invoked. C1 is what? C1 is accepting a movie object, which is what? This object, and it is extracting the movie name, only the movie name, and some data is getting concatenated. Along with the data, information is getting displayed in the console. Okay. And after this, we are using what? We are using andThen method, which is accepting C2. Okay, in this C2 there is a processing logic in the C2, which is accepting the movie object, the same object, and it is printing the verdict here. Second time, it is extracting the verdict, blockbuster. Okay, and then And then what we are doing, and then we have done a consumer chaining, and which is accepting the c3. Okay, c3 is accepting the movie object again, right? That is extracting the movie name information, and it's a simple message stored in the database. This is how you can perform consumer chaining. So you may not understand this importance with these examples, but in the future there is a topic called stream APIs. Stream APIs. In the stream APIs, okay, you always depend upon this consumer. There is a method called for each method, okay, which is used to display all the information in the console. This for each method will accept a consumer inside. We will understand that better. For now, just practice these three examples. Just try to understand what is what. That would be sufficient for the day. Right? So that's all from my side. If you have any